Picture this. You're chilling at the zoo, checking out a flock of bright pink birds, and half of them look like they're locked in a permanent yoga pose. Why the one-legged stance? It looks exhausting. Right. Try standing like that for 5 minutes while you brush your teeth, or wait in line for coffee. Your calves will be screaming, your ankles will wobble, your core will ache, and your brain will be begging you to just put that other foot down and end the misery. But here's the mind-blowing plot twist. For a flamingo, standing on 2 legs actually requires more effort. They aren't showing off some elite avian gymnastics for the crowd. They are executing a flawless, energy-saving life hack that took millions of years of rigorous evolution to perfect. Let's dive deep and break down the hidden, invisible mechanics of this glorious parlor trick. We look at a flamingo balancing effortlessly on a stilt-like leg in the middle of a muddy lagoon, and our human brains immediately scream out, "That takes so much work." And it makes total sense that we perceive the world that way. We are bipedal creatures that rely heavily on a wide, stable base of support to stay upright. If a human falls asleep while standing, gravity takes over instantly. Our muscles relax, and we hit the floor like a sack of potatoes. So, when we watch these majestically bizarre birds, dozing peacefully on a single stick-thin limb, while the coastal wind blows and the water ripples aggressively around them, it seems like they are engaged in an incredibly active, exhausting state of physical concentration. We naturally assume their micro-muscles are firing constantly, twitching and adjusting, just to keep their bodies upright. But to understand what's really happening out there in the wild, we have to look below the surface of the water, where a silent, invisible thief is constantly waiting. Flamingos spend a massive, disproportionate portion of their daily lives standing in shallow waters to filter feed. But water is exceptionally good at pulling heat away from a warm body, almost 25 times faster than air. If you stand in a cold pool, you lose your core body temperature rapidly straight through your extremities. By lifting one unfeathered leg completely out of the water and tucking it snugly into their warm, highly insulated belly plumage, flamingos instantly cut their environmental heat loss in half. It's an incredibly simple but brilliant trick for extreme thermoregulation. But that still leaves the giant, wobbly elephant in the room, the physics of balance. How do they not just topple over the second they fall asleep? This is where flamingo anatomy completely defies all human logic and biomechanics. What we think is their backward-bending knee joint halfway down the leg is actually their ankle. Their true knee is hidden way up high, tucked completely out of sight beneath their thick feathers. When a flamingo lifts one leg and shifts its body weight precisely over the standing leg, something mechanical and magical happens in that central joint. Their joints possess a highly specialized stay apparatus. As the bird centers its mass perfectly over the foot, the joint physically and rigidly locks into place. Once that joint clicks securely in, gravity does literally all of the heavy lifting. The bird becomes completely, structurally stable. Biologists have run extensive lab tests proving that a flamingo standing on one leg exhibits almost zero active muscle sway. In a frankly staggering discovery, scientists found that a deceased flamingo can physically be propped up on one leg, and it will remain perfectly, eerily balanced without any living muscle control at all. Standing on 2 legs forces them to actively engage muscles to stabilize against the wind and water. Standing on one leg is essentially turning off the engine and pulling the parking brake. So, what does this brilliant anatomical cheat code actually mean for the survival of the species on a grand global scale? It means that massive, sprawling flocks of thousands of flamingos can thrive in some of the harshest, most chemically and thermally extreme environments on Earth. From the caustic, freezing, high-altitude salt flats in the South American Andes to the highly alkaline volcanic lakes scattered across Africa, they easily conserve vital caloric energy that would otherwise be entirely wasted on shivering or fighting to keep their balance. By mastering the art of the passive stand, they have miraculously turned an incredibly hostile, energy-draining environment into a perfectly comfortable, zero-effort living room. They literally sleep through the daily struggle of survival. Take a quiet moment to just watch them out there in the wild. Appreciate the sheer, quiet elegance of thousands of vibrant birds standing perfectly still, like living statues reflecting against the calm, glass-like water at sunset. It's nature's absolute masterclass in working much smarter, not harder. So, the very next time you visit the zoo, or catch a nature documentary, and see a flamingo rocking that iconic one-legged stance, please do not pity their calves. They absolutely aren't showing off for you. They've just achieved a level of effortless, evolutionary relaxation that we humans can only dream of attaining.